participants. Today we will discuss the second part of health with reference to mental health. Here we will discuss the causes of learning difficulties. Unfortunately, many children have troubles in educational institutions. Too often blame reset to an inadequate teaching methods and poor curriculum construction. We'll take up one by one these areas. Curriculum construction. While constructing the curriculum, sometimes no or little consideration is given to the physiological readiness of the child. One of the most glaring mistakes is to introduce teaching of subjects or skills before children's nerves or muscles are able to respond as they should or intellectually respond. A subject does not make a sense unless a learner has a proper background of experience. Children may be asked to do arithmetic before they have adequate number concept or to do particular type of artwork while their fingers are incapable of making fine adjustments. This is a condition of the school-going children. The same is with the college-going. Many a curriculum contains subject matter which has no functional meaning of children. Class teaching. Uninspired teaching followed by traditional lecture methods permits boredom to develop. Next is poor teaching leaves students dissatisfied, unwanted, upset and over concern. Poor classroom organization. Inappropriate control techniques in classroom may create a situation in which a young boy or a girl who does not well in college may be scorned by his group. Teacher's personality. In the system of personal relationship within which the children learn, the teacher, probably next to the members of the immediate family, is the most important factor. Teacher creates the atmosphere that exists in the classroom. A mentally unhealthy teacher shall create distress, insecurity and nervousness in his students. Then next is handling the person with disabilities. This is one of the important concepts. Children who have physically and psychologically disabilities may be left without the special provisions needed to help them to learn. This adds them to the unfortunate list of maladjustment children because this leads to the formation of various complexes. Here we'll discuss the effect of poor learning situation. In extreme cases, poor learning situations are visibly reflected in the form of restlessness, disorder, fighting, etc. Not to be able to learn when one wants to learn is highly frustrating. To be unable to please teachers and parents when it is one's need create tensions. Continuous failure punctures self-respect and leads to lethargy. This further leads to various unhealthy after effects. Distaste for subject in college. College occupies approximately 1/3 of a child's working hour. This makes it a major area in the youngster's life. When the area is full of uneasiness and distress, the effect is likely to spread. The tension arising in the classroom can create fights outside the classroom, in playgroups, etc. Sometimes one subject or even a single small aspect of it creates a strong emotional tensions. These tensions may block learning. This might be due to hatred for the teachers which might be associated with the subjects. Sometimes emotion blocks becomes general in which emotional tension may be related not to a specified subject but at the school as a whole. Examination panic. In schools where a great reliance is placed on examination, students may develop over concern. Here reacts with disabling emotions to a subject or a school or to the situation where they are asked to show their knowledge and skills. Next is relationship with teachers. When students are frustrated by poor teaching and rough handling, they start hitting the teachers. Students take revenge from teacher by refusing to learn. Students will not mind their low grades but would be happy if the increment of the teacher who never taught are stopped. General anxiety. Failure in school learning may lead to ridicule, the fear of which may infer the learning. This fear distracts students to the point where they cannot devote full attention to ordinary school activities. The sense of social, emotional and economic insecurity that follows failure in school learning leaves a child completely anxious, overworried, disappointed and under conflict. All these effects of poor learning becomes causes for further low grade, and then vicious circle becomes quite difficult to break. Here are some suggestions to promote mental health and good mental health. The art of using institutional situations to improve mental health well-being is centered in the realization that through mastering the environment, children gain a freedom to develop a minimum distortion. In higher education institutions, the environment is under professional control. The teachers can arrange masters so that the college environment is simple enough to be mastered. The youngsters may gain in confidence and strengthen their ability to deal later with more complicated situations. Following are some of the suggestions which a teacher can keep in mind while dealing with the students in the classroom. The first is curriculum. Curriculum should be constructed keeping in view the psychological relevance with the life of the child. Second is traditional methods should be given goodbye. Let the student learn for themselves, supplemented by proper guidance from the teacher. While learning, they will learn to face defects, also because all attempts shall not be successful. This would tell them that failure also makes an important aspect of life. Thorns along with the flowers have got to be accepted. While assuming work, individual differences in terms of capacity to do the same must be kept in view. A person is not in harmony with his work if it is too easy or too hard. If it is too easy, it does not stimulate a child. If it is too hard, continued defects results in feeling or restlessness. Develop a situation, good and regular habits of study. Help them work in orderly manner. Strong competition in games involving all the children is often not good for mental health. For only the best succeed, many who fail feel inadequate. The games and activities of the school should be for the fun in them and for the health and social development of the children. Next is boredom and fatigue should be minimized by the period of play and recreation interspreads with traditional college work. Develop skills and interest in a child so that he can participate happily and fully in many social activities. One of the surest way of poor emotional health is by social isolation. The school as an effective social unit can save a person from becoming a social isolation. Physically challenged, crippled, suffering from vision, audition, memory defects, etc. should be given special attention, work adjusted according to their capacity, and their morale should be built up by sympathetic handling, which is one of the essential components. Discuss the topic of worry with peoples so that they understand the futility of over-concern. They should be taught to review the past calmly and profit from it as valuable experience. Let the sky of today be clear of yesterday's clouds. Let not present be mortgaged by a dream of tomorrow. Develop a classroom atmosphere of calm and wholesome industry. A sense of humor relieves much of the tension. Let the teacher and taught be bound by a thread of affection. Be on the alert to discover the complexes of students. Let them unburden themselves by giving them a patient learning. And then Next is self-government should be encouraged so that students can face and accept reality for themselves. Parent-teacher association should be formed, which is very essential. It is seen in schools, but in the higher education institution, this is an essential component nowadays. This would help a teacher understand the problem of his student better, because child carries the anxiety and worries from his home to his college or university. Right education and vocational guidance should be given so that square pegs are not fitted in round holes. Teacher should create a friendly atmosphere based on mutual respect. He should teach both subjects and children. The mental hygienic approach to education and especially to curriculum is here well described by W.R. Recker in the year 1954 as a way of transforming everyday schooling into a process which can effectively develop individuals mature enough to positively, intelligently, successfully and happily in the complex social and cultural metrics of the modern world. This stresses the importance of good psychological climate of the school in influencing the social climate of any educational institutions. The conditions of good psychological climate are discussed below. There are some, at least most of the distinguished and important conditions that are prerequisites to favor human relations in the school or colleges and ultimately influences its psychological climate. The first is, every person should be made to feel that he is valued and worthy person. This applies to pupils and teachers alike. If teachers have the conviction that they are valued, the chances are greatly enhanced that will make a similar discovery about the myself. The college should be a place where everyone can discover the satisfaction not only of being valued but also of making others feel valued. In some colleges, the principals believe that they have some teachers of real quality, some of fair quality and some whose ways, skills and options they find it difficult to approve. Quite unconsciously perhaps, the kind of relationship which holds between the principal and teacher also pervades the realm of teacher-pupil relationship and in turn the relativity private domain of the pupil. Everybody should be engaged in a worthwhile understanding which helps him to find significance in himself, and this is essential to good psychological climate. Teachers should have a right to know the worth of the product of their efforts. If it is a bad climate that gives the teacher a feeling of uncertainty about the satisfactoriness of the outcomes of his instructions, and by the same time, children and youth needs the experience of assessing the worth of their accomplishment against criteria that have meaning and importance to them. An atmosphere of freedom and confidence followed by the absence of unless tension should be created. Every effort should be made to create a feeling among people that learning is privilege and useful activity and not penalty or a form of punishment. There should be mutual respect between parents and teachers. Parents-teacher association should be formed. A teacher should make it a practical to learn as soon as possible something praiseworthy about each child in the school or in any educational institution. Then he should call the child's parent and tell something about it. Thus, the first contact with the parent is a pleasant one. If later one discuss a disagreeable items with the parents, he won't encounter hostility or resistance. The classroom enrollments should be in line with satisfactory working condition for the teachers and the pupil. He should be able to attend to the social and academic needs of every child. Overcrowding should be avoided. One or two neglected children in a classroom can soon radiate and influence that dissipates the moral and energy that accompany good learning and good living together. Classroom control should be enforced through democratic method. In authoritarian atmosphere, the pupil manifest aggressive domination towards each other, or they become empathetic and submissive. They lose interest in their activities. In contrast with authoritarian atmosphere, pupils in democratic situation shows interest in their task, take much individual responsibilities, and their relationship with teachers and with each other consistently satisfying. Extensive information about the interests and abilities of every child in the school should be obtained. Only when such information is available and used can be best in every child be brought out to be developed. Teachers should be emotionally mature. An emotionally insecure teacher needs to take care of the atmosphere of the classroom. He spread the germs of anxiety and restlessness among students and thereby makes the classroom atmosphere full of tension. Different individuals have different perception of college. Each child views and interprets each moment in the college through own needs and background of experience. The children who comprise a class have come from many different kinds of background. Some knows the self-control and self-reliance in various situations and some do not. How a teacher deals with them must be determined by such factors. Some brings to a classroom an experience of frustration and defects which they have experienced elsewhere in their college endurance. Certainly, the satisfactoriness of the relationship between pupil and his teacher will depend greatly upon the teacher's ability to keep the importance of individual differences in mind and his ability to see the situational institutional situation through the eyes of an individual child. A teacher must never fail to consider how a given situation will be interpreted by the child and especially how it will affect his sense of personal significance. Now we will discuss about the importance of teacher-pupil relationship. As discussed above, the psychological climate of educational institution drives mainly from the quality of interpersonal relationship among people and teachers. Among our major responsibility as teachers is that of helping children and youth to recognize that life does not have its hardship, its disillusionment as well as its triumphs and pleasures. Our task, our privilege is to help boys and girls to achieve the moral courage and intellectual discipline that make it possible for a person to move ahead under his own sense of direction. Stated a bit differently, this means helping them to gain increasing maturity of personality with every gain in size and age. Now, mental health of teacher is very important aspect to discuss. A teacher should be mentally healthy because it promotes his efficiency and happiness. Students are very sensitive to teacher's personality and his methods of teaching. The sarcastic comments by the teacher hurts them very badly. A mentally healthy teacher promotes the personal and social adjustment of his people. The mental health of a teacher influences pupil-teacher relations and teacher-administrators relation. The mental health encountered by teachers differ widely due to the differing backgrounds and personalities of teachers and because of the different kind of situation in which they are employed. But because of the very nature of their profession, there are certain problems which many teachers are likely to encounter, which affects their mental health. Some of these mental health hazards of teacher are stated below. Number 1, high expectation of society. Society believes that responsibility for meeting countless needs of countless students reset squarely on their shoulders. They are called the builders of the nation while they cannot build a house for themselves even most of the time. It is declared that the building of an entire nation is their job and everybody else has nothing to do with this challenging job. It is forgotten that a teacher is a human being after all. He has all limitations of his counterpart in general public. Are members of any other occupational group given such an unrealistic, exaggerated notion of what is expected to them? But teachers. Next is rash and unhealthy criticism. He is painted as the only villain of the sad story of education. Contradiction between theory and practice. He finds a conflict between actual practice and preachings which he got a teacher training college. This frustrates worry about living, inadequate salary, unsatisfactory housing arrangements are another factor which adds to his worry. Restriction of personal and social life. Too many restrictions are placed on his personal and social life. He is depressed to be Devta while he is a simple human being like all others. There is a heavy teaching load which also reflects in the teaching learning process of a teacher. This leaves little time for him to relax, reflect and plan for the future. Low prestige of teaching sometimes he feels. Still many other professions are given high prestige while not much serious job is expected out of them. Insufficient working conditions, lack of equipments and funds hinders a teacher's desire to handle the class the way he aspires. Other factors can be insufficient preparation for teaching, autocratic supervision, deep sense of completion of general pressure from the public. Happily, with the respect to most, if not all frustrations, the conditions under which teacher works have been steadily improving in recent years, and there is a reason to believe that in future these mental health hazards will be mitigated, if not entirely eliminated. Here are some suggestions for improving mental health of a teacher. Perhaps the most important single thing a teacher can do to improve his pupil's mental health is to try to improve his own life. Life can be lived more intelligently if a teacher understands and applies the principles and values of personal adjustment, and same is being reflected in the classroom. For a fuller, happier, more harmonious and more effective existence, each teacher will have to work out for himself for a specific program for program better adjustment. These suggestions are simply generalization which will have different meaning for different person, but within the generalization one can find the major points of emphasis which are endorsed by mental hygienists and psychologists, like maintain sound physical health, develop a wholesome attitude towards sex, gain objective insight into your nature, achieve self-confidence through success, face stress and strain with emotional poles, substitute planning for worry. When one substitutes planning for worry, he is substituting thinking and overt action for internal emotional responses. Such control over the emotion is prime consideration in personal adjustment. Place a high valuation on tentative ideas. Since mental health involves the process of continuous adjustment, it is apparent that tentative conclusion may have much value. No matter what the present state of affair, men can be sure of one thing, that there will be change. There is an idea must be change. Intellectual flexibility must be sought through a desire to adjust to these changing conditions. The only way that men can achieve real security is by being able to keep upright while their feet are on shifting sands. Learn to enjoy life, develop a good personality, keep out of debate, maintain a good personal appearance, learn how to use the healthy criticism for better, Be absorbed in teaching and other activities. Do not leave your mind worrying about. Make a plan for life. Express the holistic feeling once a while. Do not suppress them. What to do? There are general some perceptions, some points which people like about the teachers. The first is personality, which really matters for students. Method of teaching, the teaching learning process which is being adopted by the teacher in the classroom. The patience of listening the ideas of the students. Cooperative attitude, of course, if a child is not able to work, the cooperative attitude should be adopted. Sense of humor, it makes the classroom very effective. Fairness and impartiality, this is one of the special component, an important component. Flexibility in approach, democratic attitude, usual recognition, and of course the knowledge of the subject matter the teacher is keeping in him. The teacher needs to be very much updated towards the day-to-day life. Here is the end of this module. See you soon. Thank you.